I always have to check my technology and make sure that I am live appropriately in all places. Okay. Okay, now I'm not muted anymore. And I am truly live everywhere. So, thank you everyone who is joining me here live for tonight's Sex, Love, and Marriage. I am your host, your favorite life coach and certified sexologist, Coach K, where for some of you who may not know who I am, my real name is Kanya Ford, but I go by Coach K. I'm a life coach and certified sexologist, and I work with women and I also work with couples. Of course, two different avenues. With women, I work with women with understanding, acknowledging, and accepting their value, their self worth, and setting personal boundaries. And I do that through self love, accountability, and truly showing you how to own your sexuality. Because when you own your sexuality, you truly show up differently, less likely to be wavered in your decisions that you make. And with couples, I work with you on strengthening your intimacy literacy, because a lot of times we may be saying the same thing, we could be on the same page, but until we get that language barrier together, it's just not clicking. So tonight's topic is a topic that I have seen over and over. I've watched it truly destroy homes. It is something that is it's it's too prevalent in society, and it's something that needs to be really looked at a lot closer and taken a lot more serious. So tonight's topic is the work wife or the work husband still a thing? Are work spouses appropriate? I have my opinions, of course. I have some firsthand accounts. For some of you who may not know, by degree, I have been a human resources professional for well over 15 years. My associates, bachelor's, and master's all are in business, but in my master's program, I did a concentration in human resources. And so I worked in the human resources field for many years on many levels. And what I can tell you is work spouses, and for those who are watching me here on camera, because I am live on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, for those who are watching me, you saw me put my air quotes up. Because for the work wife and the work husband, this is one of the more dangerous relationships that people can honestly get themselves in. And when I speak of relationships, a lot of times we automatically assume relationships mean romantic relationships. But relationships are all types. There are friendships, there are co-workerships, there are associates, there are romantic relationships, there's, sibling, there are family relationships. So relationships takes on many different forms. And so what we do and how we maneuver in those relationships will determine kind of the bond that you build, the strength that it has, and the direction that it goes in. And so that's why I say that you really have to be extremely careful when A, you're throwing around these words of work husband, work wife, or the work spouse, and B, what direction you take that relationship in. So I'll take it all the way back. Are work wives and work husbands still a thing? Absolutely. I know they exist. They're still out there. People still say it jokingly. They think it's cute. And for some, you know what? If you do it, have at it. Again, on this platform, I'm not here to be right. I am only here to be heard and to get the conversation started. My goal is to hopefully spark additional conversations that some relationships and some households need to have, but they're not sure how to bring them up. Hey, use me as an excuse to bring them up. For anyone who's joining me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, or Clubhouse, definitely feel free to use the chat and put your questions, your comments. Of course, with Clubhouse, you can raise your hand and come on up to the stage. This is an open platform because, again, I'm not here to be right. I am simply here to be heard and get conversation started. So let's back it up. You get this job. For the most part, we probably spend 75 to 80% of our life at work. You're going to spend between 65% and 80% of your day at work. And for those folks who are now going back into the office, and for those who've always been in the office, and for those who were in the office way back then, when you go there, you want to make sure that your experience is the best that it can be for you. No one wants to be in an office where they hate everyone or that is just stuffy and boring, right? And so you want to build relationships with your coworkers. You want to have a rapport with your coworkers. And so, yes, you're friendly. You are being nice to people. Someone forgot their lunch. Maybe you have some extra and you share your lunch with them. They have a coffee machine in the morning. You guys meet at the coffee machine and you start small conversations. It's lunchtime and you got a few extra bucks and you're in walking distance to a little cafe. You guys walk somewhere to have lunch. No harm, no foul. But it's those intimate moments that we share at work with those folks that we're getting to know that, if we're not careful, can lead to places that we may not intentionally want them to go. Someone who is in a relationship, a romantic relationship, in a committed relationship, or someone who is married should be extremely careful with any additional relationships and friendships that are formed. I will be the first one to yell on the rooftops. And I even have a video about this that I did, a discussion, so you can go back and look for that. Why friends are important in a marriage. I am 1,010,000,000% on board. You should always have outside friendships when it comes to a marriage or a committed relationship. It is healthier for the relationship. It is healthier for the individuals. But when we get to learning these coworkers who we're spending a large portion of our day and our weeks with, when we start to mix activities that should never be brought into the workplace, when we start to mix that in, that's where things can get gray and where innocent conversations and intentions can start to waver in an unsavory place. And so when someone starts to throw around the words, that right there is going to be the biggest of every red flag that I will talk about today. If there is ever a moment that someone walks up to you and say, that's your work, or your work husband here, or your work wife is here, what you need to do is immediately cut that off at the knees, dead that discussion right there, and make it very clear. That's not my work. That's not my spouse. That's not my work husband. That's not my work wife, whatever. Words have power. I don't care who doesn't believe it. I am telling you, words have power. And if that you allow those words to be said over and over and over again, there's going to lead to an unconscious closeness that you may begin to build with this person that you may not have any intention on. What you may start to do is gravitate towards them when there's a problem at home. Another red flag. There's a problem in your household. Your coworkers are not the people that you have this discussion with, unless you're seeking counsel from a neutral third party known as, hey, right here, your human resources person. Or if they have EAP, you can always, reach out for counseling if you need that. Discussing your household problems with your coworkers who you're getting to know and that you're spending an absorbent amount of time with in an intimate setting. Yes, the workplace is an intimate setting because typically it's a small knit place where you and a few other coworkers gather, share information. You all have the same headaches and pains of work. You all have the same gripes about the different managers. So you all have a common share of things that you're building this relationship on. And so if you take that building of things from the workplace and you start to add in the dislike that you have for home, you potentially, again, are setting yourself up to innocently take a co-workership position into a place where it doesn't need to be. So if someone is speaking the words of work husband or work spouse or work wife, you need to shut that down. That's not what it is. That's a coworker. If you are getting close with someone at work, then I don't see why there would ever be a problem with having a discussion of hey, come home. Hey, babe, I met this coworker at work. It seems to be really cool. Sometimes we even share lunch together. Is that okay with you? I want you to hear this. That's not you asking for permission from your partner, your husband, your wife, your spouse. That's not asking for permission to enjoy lunch with someone. That is you sharing common information with your partner in a respectful way that allows them the knowledge of what is happening with you at work. If your partner says to you, babe, I'm a little uncomfortable with you. I have somebody that's on here that is spamming. So I'm going to block them really quickly because I don't have time for foolishness at all on my pages, just so you know, because I am a certified sexologist, sometimes I do get ridiculous things on my page. And what I will not do is subject myself, because I have boundaries, and I will not subject any of the folks who are watching to foolery. So I shut that down. So you want to have that respectful conversation with your partner at home to let them know that you've met somebody at work. You all seem to be cool. Sometimes you share lunch with them. Sometimes you go out to lunch. Your partner may be like, hey, that's cool. I think that's awesome. Y'all have fun. Tell them I say, hey. If everything is kind of like out in the open, then there's less likely to be a gray area that creeps into the relationship of the coworkership. It comes when you are not discussing anything of the work relationship at home, that it may give the appearance of there's an inappropriate relationship that may be happening, which can then lead to, more strain in the household, which leads you to maybe talk to this coworker a little bit more, which can lead to, again, graying up the coworker relationship into something that it does not need to be. So let me tell you about just the outskirt story of something that I know firsthand that has happened. There was a male and a female. Both parties were married, and they worked in this place. They worked 10-hour shifts for 4 to 5 days a week. So they were in this environment all day, every day. It started out as just friendship. They would talk about work. They would, I got this thing going on. I've got this thing going on. And one of the people in this scenario, the male, was of a pastoral or counseling-esque on, outside of this job. That's what they kind of did. They counseled people in a, church setting. And so the problems that the young lady was having, he would begin to just kind of walk her through and talk her through these things. Well, After a certain amount of years, it turned out that they ended up in a full-blown relationship at work, and where the person who was the authoritative figure, which would have been the counsel, took the information that was gained through counseling and utilized it to kind of manipulate and enter into a relationship. Well, those two in that relationship um, ended up sharing or producing offsprings that, that inside of this inner work relationship, which of course caused issue to the externals, because this thing doesn't just stay, right there. That's something that can truly happen. So now you have entered into this full-blown relationship where now offsprings and children are being brought into this. And so you took this to a place where it should have never gone. And I'm 99.9% sure that the young lady who was seeking counsel of this person never had discussions with an actual therapist outside of, the workplace to try to get any help for themselves or whatever they were going through with the husband at home. And so that is honestly how those innocent coworker to coworker relationships quickly turn into romantic relationships that should never be. And then you think about it, if they have a falling out, then that affects everyone in the office. And I think honestly, the easiest way to avoid this happening is what I said way back in the beginning of this discussion is watch the words you use when you are describing those in your work environment. In your work environment, you have coworkers, you have managers, you have supervisors, you have owners, you have whatever, but you want to leave those added titles of work spouses, leave that alone. That's child's play. If you're 17 or 18 and you want to play that game, fine. But when you get into a certain stature in a certain place, it's not appropriate to be in a committed relationship, to be married, and you're at work calling someone else your work spouse. It's not respectful to your partner at home, whether they laugh it off with you or not. Trust me, there is not a single married person that wants to hear of their spouse being someone else's spouse. Unless you're into that, which I have no judgment on, hey, to each their own. And unless you have had a thorough discussion with your partner about this coworker friendship bond that you have built with someone else. So again, is work spouses still a thing? Absolutely. I know it happens every day. Is it appropriate? It's inappropriate office behavior, period. Sharing lunch with someone, that's no problem. Going to lunch with someone, that's no problem. Being respectful and cordial to your coworkers, you should be. But please, when you're at work, be at work, keep it professional, coworker to coworker. Be very careful of not graying up the lines. When it comes to your personal business, you want to speak to someone who is not of a coworker situation, or even outside of the workplace. Again, you spend a lot of time inside of the work environment. So it's really easy to get caught up in these are my friends. I trust them. I want to tell them everything. Next thing you know, someone's arm is around your shoulder. They're consoling you. You start to feel like, oh, they really care about me. And you find yourself face down, ass up in a hotel room across the street from work. And you now have to do some explaining. This is not what we want. So remembering that your words hold power. Someone is ever saying, oh, you my work wife, I'm your work husband. that's a no. Shut it down. I only have one husband. I only have one wife, and you're not it. We're really good co-workers, or we're really good friends. Keep it really literal to what you guys are. Be very clear about the relationship. That's with any relationship that you are ever in. Be very clear about what it is and the type of relationship you're in, and you should not have a problem. Rumors get started, shut them down. Be very clear. Even if you hear a rumor, discuss it with your partner at home. If you see that things are starting to create rumors, watch the behavior and alter it. Don't be of a man, I'm not worried about what they say. You should, because a lot of times where there's smoke, there's fire, and you do not want to burn yourself. So, as always, I don't like to hold you guys here too long if I don't have to. These are my weekly discussions that I do with you every single Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I appreciate you for joining me here tonight. I have some really, really, really big and exciting news that I will be announcing to you guys really soon. So make sure that you stay connected with me on all of my platforms. You can find me on all my platforms. That is Clubhouse, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Coach K 101. That's COACHKAY 101. All of them. If you want to get on my newsletter list, head over to Instagram, click the link in my bio, and sign up for that, because I always have amazing things going on there. As we know, this is the month of March, which is Women's History Month. And the entire month, I am giving all women a percentage off the Own Your Ish Sis boot camp. This is a 5-week, and what one of my ladies who just finished going through the boot camp, which she called an emotional boot camp, that it teaches women how to unapologetically teach others how to treat them. It's an amazing course. You have access to me the entire 5 weeks. Hey, Toxic K, that's my baby girl. Where you learn how to put yourself in the front row of your show. So if you go to ownyourishsis.com, that's ownyourishsis.com, you put in the code 30 days of her, you'll get your percentage off. And if you want to get your daily affirmations, you can head over to coachk101.com, join our Own Your Ish Sis group. Every single day for the entire month of March, I am giving you a daily affirmation that you can say to uplift yourself. So next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be right back here, same platform that you joined on. And next week's title is Don't Text My Friends. This is, where do you draw the line with your partner and your friends? Because we had a lot of discussions about, people kind of crossing the line. If they my friends, you shouldn't be texting them and all that good stuff. So we're going to be talking about that next week. So make sure you tune in. I appreciate you guys. If you are ready to get your session scheduled with me, whether it is life coaching or sexuality coaching, make sure you head over to loveandintimacy101.com or just reach me right here where you are seeing me. You all have a nice evening, and I'll catch you right back here Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good night, everybody.